Think back, just for a moment, to a bathroom counter in 1985. There was no 30-step routine. There was no shelf of serums with names you couldn't pronounce. There was no influencer telling you that the thing you bought last month was already outdated. There was a hairbrush, maybe a can of something, a few odd items borrowed from the kitchen, and women who, let's be honest, had genuinely great hair. Big hair, shiny hair, hair that held a set for 3 days, hair that survived being teased, sprayed, slept on, and brushed out, and still looked thick and alive. And here's the thing nobody wants to admit, because there is an entire industry built on you not admitting it. A lot of what those women did worked. It still works. It was quietly set aside not because it stopped being effective, but because you cannot put most of it in a bottle and sell it back to you for $40. So today we are going back. 10 hair tricks from the 1980s. Some of them things your mother did, some of them things you did and forgot, that still work today, and in a few cases work better than what replaced them. I will tell you what the trick was, why it actually works, and where the modern version quietly went wrong. Welcome to Dr. Redmond. Let's go back. Number 1. The cold water rinse. Every woman in the 1980s with good hair did this, and most of them did it without knowing exactly why. You washed, you conditioned, and then right at the end you turned the water cold for a few seconds and rinsed your hair under it. It was bracing. Nobody enjoyed it. Everybody did it anyway. Here is why it worked. Your hair has an outer layer called the cuticle, overlapping scales, like roof tiles. Warm water lifts those scales open. Cold water lays them flat. Hair with a flat cuticle reflects light, which is the entire physical definition of shine. It also tangles less and holds moisture better. This costs nothing. It was free in 1985, and it is free now. The modern shine serum you can buy instead is essentially trying to imitate, with silicone, what 10 seconds of cold water does mechanically. Bring this one back. Tonight. Number 2. Sleeping in a loose braid. Before silk pillowcases were a $60 wellness purchase, women simply braided their hair loosely before bed. Not tight, loose, low, soft. The reason it worked is friction. Loose hair rubbing against a cotton pillowcase all night is hundreds of tiny abrasions, and that is where breakage, frizz, and split ends genuinely come from for a lot of women. Contained in a loose braid, the hair moves as one piece instead of catching individually. You woke up with soft waves and, more importantly, with hair that simply broke less over months and years. The silk pillowcase does solve the same problem, and it works. But the braid solved it first, for free, and the two together are better than either alone. Number 3. The Boar bristle brush, 100 strokes. Your grandmother told your mother, and your mother told you, and somewhere along the way, everyone decided it was an old wives' tale. It is not. It was just misunderstood. The point was never the magic number 100. The point was the boar bristle. Natural boar bristle is structurally similar to human hair, and brushing slowly from root to tip physically distributes sebum, the natural oil your scalp produces, down the length of the hair. That oil is the best conditioner that exists, and it is free, and your body makes it every day. In the 1980s, women moved it down the strand where it was needed. Today, people strip it off at the scalp with harsh shampoo and then buy oil in a bottle to put back on the ends. Slow, gentle brushing with a real boar bristle brush every evening. Not 100 frantic strokes, just consistent ones. Number 4. Beer as a setting rinse. This one always gets a laugh, and then people try it and stop laughing. Flat beer, poured through the hair, left for a minute, rinsed out. The reason it worked is not glamorous, but it is real. The proteins and the maltose sugars in beer coat the hair shaft and add structure, body, and grip. It is, essentially, a natural setting lotion. Hair set after a beer rinse held its volume noticeably longer. The alcohol needs to be flat first, open it the night before, and the smell rinses out completely once it dries, despite what everyone fears. Half a cup of flat beer is about 40 cents. The volumizing mousse it was replaced by is $12 and does roughly the same job with synthetic polymers. Number 5. The headstand, or the simple version of it. Women in the 1980s flipped their head upside down and brushed, and not only for the dramatic volume when they flipped back up, though that worked too. Hanging the head down increases blood flow to the scalp. The scalp is skin, and the hair follicle is a living structure that depends on circulation for the nutrients that drive growth. You do not need an actual headstand. Flip your head forward, Hang it down for 30 to 60 seconds while you brush gently and flip back up. Women did this every morning while drying their hair without thinking of it as anything other than how you got volume. It was also, quietly, scalp care. Number 6. Mayonnaise as a deep mask. Stay with me. The 1980s kitchen mask era was not nonsense. It was just unbranded. Real mayonnaise is egg yolk and oil. Egg yolk is protein and lecithin. Oil is fatty acids. Smoothed through dry hair, wrapped in a warm towel for 20 to 30 minutes, then washed out, it is a genuine protein and lipid deep conditioning treatment. The warm towel matters. Gentle heat lifts the cuticle just enough for the conditioning agents to penetrate rather than sit on top. The $40 deep mask that replaced it has nicer packaging and a better smell. Mechanically, it is doing the same two things, feeding the hair protein and sealing it with lipid. Once a month, the kitchen version still holds its own. Number 7. Diluting your shampoo. This was not a trick anyone talked about. It was just how a frugal household made the bottle last. Shampoo was tipped into an old bottle with water, shaken, and used diluted. It turned out to be accidentally excellent for hair. Concentrated shampoo applied directly is harsh. It strips the scalp's natural oil aggressively, which triggers the scalp to overproduce oil, which makes hair greasy faster, which makes you wash more often. Diluted shampoo cleans perfectly well while being far gentler on that balance. An entire expensive category of gentle, low-poo, sulfate-conscious products today is selling, at a premium, the effect that a splash of water into the bottle produced for free. Number 8. Lemon juice and sun. Every teenage girl in the summer of 1986 knew this one. Lemon juice through the hair, then time in the sun, for natural lightening and brightness. The chemistry is real. Citric acid combined with UV light gently lifts pigment from the hair shaft. It was the original, zero-cost highlighting treatment, and on lighter and mid-tone hair, it genuinely worked. The honest caveat, and your mother probably did not mention this, is that it is mildly drying, so it pairs best with the mayonnaise mask from a moment ago. The 1980s did the damage and the repair in the same season without ever connecting the two. You can do both, on purpose, and get the brightness without the dryness. Number 9. Pin curls and no heat. Before every home owned 3 hot tools, women set their hair in pin curls. Damp hair wound into flat coils, pinned, left to dry completely, then brushed out into soft volume. The reason this is worth bringing back is not nostalgia. It is that the single biggest cause of long-term hair damage for most women is heat. Pin curls create body and wave with zero thermal damage. The set comes from hair drying in a shaped position, not from being cooked into shape. The result is softer and lasts longer than a curl burned in with an iron, and the hair underneath stays intact year after year. The technique looks fussy for one evening. It is gentle every single day after. Number 10. Less washing, far less. This is the one that ties all of it together, and it is the one the 1980s got right almost by default. Women did not wash their hair every day. 2, maybe 3 times a week was completely normal. Between washes, they brushed, they refreshed, they wore it up. Hair was treated as something you maintained, not something you stripped and rebuilt every 24 hours. Frequent washing removes the scalp's natural oil faster than it can be replaced, which forces the scalp to overproduce, which traps you in a cycle of greasy roots and dry ends and more washing. Stepping back to 2 or 3 washes a week and using the diluted shampoo and the Boar bristle brush to bridge the gap is the single highest impact thing on this entire list, and it was simply how things were done before daily washing was sold to everyone as hygiene. So look at what these 10 things actually have in common. Almost none of them cost anything. Almost all of them work with the hair and scalp instead of stripping and replacing. And almost every one of them was quietly retired not because it failed, but because there is very little money in telling a woman that cold water, a good brush, less washing, and something from her own kitchen will do most of what the shelf of bottles promises. None of this means everything modern is bad. Some of it is genuinely better. But the women who had that thick, shiny, durable 1980s hair were not doing anything mysterious. They were doing simple, mechanical, almost free things, consistently, for years. That is the whole secret. It always was. You do not need to do all 10 tomorrow. Pick 3. The cold rinse, the Boar bristle brush, and washing less. Give it a month. Your hair was never the problem. The routine that replaced these things was. If you watched this far, you probably remember at least one of these from your own bathroom counter a long time ago. That is the point. You already knew some of this. You were just gradually talked out of it. That is what this channel is here for. Not to sell you the next bottle, to explain why the simple thing worked, why it still works, and why it was quietly set aside. If your sister, your friend, the woman you have known since exactly these years, would smile remembering the beer rinse and the lemon juice, send her this. Not because it is a miracle, because some of the best things we knew, we were simply persuaded to forget. Subscribe to Dr. Redmond. The research is real, the explanation is honest, and nothing here is for sale. The next video goes back even further, to the things our grandmothers did for their skin and hair that the science is only now catching up to explaining. You will recognize more of them than you think. I will see you there.